That's why I was asking about
so about a week.
election. Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting tons of calls about elections. No one realizes we don't have
We
one.
don't
yet.
have one.
Not this year.
And that's a good thing with some of the things that are being proposed.
Yes. We'll have a big one next year.
Several.
Several.
Okay. And you should be all set.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to welcome everyone. It's I was looking at my watch. It's 3:00. And this is the regular meeting of the Waterville Valley Board of Selectmen, Wednesday, October 27th, 2021. We are meeting in the downstairs room at Town Hall, and the public can also watch the meeting live on the town YouTube channel. And we're calling this meeting to order. Privilege of the floor. We don't have any, oh, yes, we do. We have somebody who is here to talk about the Trails Online app. Yes, is that Marvin?
That's Marvin.
Okay, I don't know Marvin. Hi,
Oh.
Marvin.
Hello.
So Tyler is here. Tyler is here and Marvin is on Zoom. So who's taking the lead here? Okay, Tyler.
So I have.
That doesn't mean you can leave, Marvin.
He abandoned
I should
it.
be at the mic.
Yeah.
Okay, I have some.
Would you identify yourself, please?
Yes, Tyler Durham from the Waterville Valley Recreation Department.
Okay.
And then I have some handouts here, which are budgets related to the project that we'll be talking about.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, so basically some of you in the room know about this, some know more than others, but it's an idea that Marvin first had 20 years ago when hiking with Dan Newton, and he really enjoyed those hikes because it was about so much more than just the miles traveled or the time out there. They're able to really delve into everything that was around them. And so the idea is to create pretty much a living museum all around Waterville Valley. And this would be accessible through someone's smartphone or even at home on their computer. And the idea is, I don't know if any of you have been to a museum or like a Civil War battlefield where they have those audio guides.
Mhm.
It'd be something similar to that, where without that information, you're just standing in a grassy field. But with the information about the historical events that took place, it can really come to life. And so the same thing can happen here. For some of those historical things, at a cellar hole, or at some of the abandoned timber camps. But it goes way deeper than that. So more than telling a story about where a timber camp used to be and the trees that were cut down there, the trees that you're standing next to, people can be learning information about the underground fungal networks that allow trees to communicate, and the idea of mother trees and things like that. But also looking at a lake, and from Mount Tecumseh you can see over to Hubbard Brook Experimental Forest, and Mirror Lake is over there, and it's one of the most well-studied lakes or ponds in the country. Actually, more PhD theses have been written about that water than almost any other, and that is where acid rain was. The ideas were generated over there, and so there are just all these levels and the breadth and depth of information that can be shared with people is just, it's up to us to decide how much we want to share. But the idea is to create that sort of multifaceted experience for the people who come to visit. Anything that you would like to add to that, Marvin, before?
Well, first, thank you very much for allowing me to participate and for entertaining the concept. I'm particularly excited that we have Tyler available to lead this initiative. It's a special undertaking and will take a special person to bring it to life. And I think we're very blessed that we have Tyler. I would also point out, as has been affirmed by many who we have spoken with, that what we propose to do, while simple in concept, and thanks to the advent of some advanced online networks that have spent millions of dollars building systems that we'll be able to leverage for really a very small amount of money, that we will be creating something which potentially will be unique in the world. I think that that's important, in and of itself, but at least as someone who's been coming to the Valley for 30 years and thinking about future generations and how the Valley might evolve, I have no economic interest in this, and I'm certainly not interested in growth at any cost. I believe rather that if we succeed with this, that we will tap into a wellspring and an emerging population of learners of all ages who are interested, of course, in the physical activity and being outside, but also are also curious. Not just those who want to get from A to B, although they're welcome as well, but I'm thinking in particular of young families, retired individuals who could end up spending days or a week, many years on end, returning to the Valley as a source of enjoyment, as well as to nurture their spiritually, intellectually, and of course their bodies. One last thing, just to put in perspective, you'll be hearing about the budget. What Outdoor Active is proposing, the few $1,000s to get on board with them. I started a public company actually before the internet, a company which ended up becoming part of that first revolution, because we started our online business 3 years before the internet and its protocols were formally established. I ended up spending literally $10 million to build technology, which not only some of it which became obsolescent, but within a few years, you were able to finance access to those systems and services on your credit card. This dream, which I've had for 30 years, when I first had the dream, the most we could have hoped for, of course, was a print guide. And kudos to the town for sponsoring Steve Smith's print guide, because I sure love to read. But the idea of being able to have, if you will, Dan Newton in a box, accessible at any time to help feed my sense of wonder and curiosity. It took the advent of computer and phone apps, and even more so now the investment by Outdoor Active in particular, to be able to create an online structure and an app structure, which will at least ostensibly allow us to do a great deal, much of which would have been impossible even for them as little as a year ago. And some of their best features are a result of having just acquired another major outdoor company in the last 6 months. So really, the timing seems to be good. This is a unique undertaking. I've been told this by many people, but including by the folks from All Trails and well, some of the other online systems who collectively have tens of millions of subscribers, that no one has ever done this. And the willingness of competitors to Outdoor Active, including the two largest, to be willing to share our content with their members, even though the structure, the host for it will be formally Outdoor Active, shows that they believe that this content really is groundbreaking, and they want to make it available to their members, irrespective of whether the host app is actually from one of their competitors. And I think that says a lot. So, and again, thank you for allowing me to participate and for entertaining this concept.
Yeah, I had some questions. What's the revenue side of this? Is there a fee to become a member of the app or to access the app?
No, the idea would be to have it be free to visitors of the valley, at least initially.
Okay.
The idea is to attract people from all over the world to come to the valley. Outdoor Active has tens of millions of subscribers, almost all of which are in Europe and Asia and India. And when we launch this fully, they expect to share that with millions of people, most of whom have never heard of Waterville Valley. They anticipate that this will be of interest to a lot of people and will hopefully attract many visitors. And I'm not going to characterize visitors are good or bad, but certainly to the extent that we're attracting people who are interested, are coming here as much out of curiosity and a desire to learn as because we have the first trail network in the nation. I think that could potentially be very important in building the businesses and eventually the economic base. I might also point out that the app that we're talking about engaging with is nominally, expensive. And by paying the fee that Tyler will be talking about, we are entitling all of our visitors to access the full range of features which their other members have to pay a premium for. And of course, our app will actually exist right in the Apple and the Google stores, which again, none of the other competitors have spent the millions of dollars to enable that kind of support. But Outdoor Active made the decision, and we happen to be the app which really proves the business case for them that this was hopefully a good idea, because they believe that once the Waterville Valley app launches, it will be of interest to, well, certainly to people around the United States, those who not only sit amidst a living museum, but have local activists like our Historical Society and others who might be, and experts like Steve Smith and the like, who will hopefully help us, who will be the curators in helping us to really provide the content.
Yeah. So question about content. When I use All Trails, when I go hiking, I can download a map before I leave, and it does not rely on having access to Wi-Fi or to, the internet at all for me to make use of that app. Is this going to have a similar type of thing so that you're not in an area where there's no service and you can't listen to whatever it is that's appropriate there?
Yes, the idea is that it would be GPS enabled. So the GPS signal that your phone gets is separate from the calling service.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it would be downloadable. And then, if you approach one of the points or, places that we select to curate,
Mm-hmm.
then
Then you get a text message or something that says, yeah. Yeah.
Or hopefully it will pop up or however we want to notify. That's part of that's one of the things that we talked long and hard about with Outdoor Active, that as part of the premium version of their app that all of our visitors will get access to for free, it includes the ability to download everything. So for example, a visitor to the Valley, who comes to one of the trailheads might see a QR code. And when they click on when they take a picture of the QR code, it will bring up, actually they'll have choices. They can simply get the content without the app, which again is a unique feature of what Outdoor Active enables. The others require you to have an app, or they'll be prompted to download the app from the Apple Store for free or the Google Store for free. And once they've done that, and with minimal registration, and we can decide whether we want to create any speed bumps to ask them for their name and the rest of it, or just let them get right into it and then decide later if they want to, get to know us and for us to get to know them better. They'll be prompted whether they'd like to download all the content pertinent to the trail that the system knows that they're about to enter, or for that matter, all the content for all of Waterville Valley, because while it will be a rich experience in terms of actual gigabytes, it's really not going to be much, it's not going to be a lot of storage for a modern phone. An individual will be able to download the entire Waterville Valley experience on their phone and never have to use a cell connection again. But at the same time, when they see that QR code again, they can simply download the pertinent information without the app. So imagine people walking around the valley floor, they come to a point of interest, or as I think of a point of wonder, they image the QR code, and it will just immediately bring up, a narration by someone from, one of our volunteers or other curators, and images and links. They won't have to stop and get the app. That's one of the many things that attracted me.
Mike has a couple
All right,
questions.
I've got a couple. First of all, I want to thank you, Marvin, for your continued dedication to the Valley and these projects, and to bring us more to the forefront of hiking and what we excel at up here. I do have some real serious questions about this. Brooke, offhand, what's your budget a year?
330.
330. This would add 25% to the rec department budget to some degree. So we really need to look at that. The questions I would have is, I'm not familiar with Outdoor Active, but I do go outside most days. And I was wondering, do they have a history of pull through? Meaning, do the people that use this site actually purchase product and do things that they've found on the site? And the questions I would have on this would be, this would be a wonderful idea if this was 3 years ago before COVID, when we were looking to draw people to the Valley. And unfortunately, right now, we're at a point where we're going to be in a shortage for available rooms if hockey and weddings continue the way they're going to. But the question I have with this, it's a lot of money here. And are we going to be able to realistically, without adding more money to this, provide an excellent experience for that person that comes up here? Are we going to find ourselves in a position we dealt with last week? I wasn't here, but the idea of no porta potties or bathrooms in the Valley for hikers. Will this add to that, or how are we going to deal with this before we get to it? Is it sustainable? Are we going to be able to get people out and maintain these trails so you have a perfect beginner's trail for the person who wants to get out there? We don't want people getting out there and getting in over their heads. That's what we did when we talked about bringing back the fitness trail through Town Square, to provide that great experience for the novice hiker. So I think it's a wonderful idea. I'd like to see some more back end on this to see what, if it's not direct revenue to the rec department, what kind of direct revenue, what kind of visitor increase we can realistically expect from this. Because we do, once again, we are not, I don't know how many people are going to be coming up in the end of November through the ski season to hike. So we're looking at a limited time on this as well, in my opinion. I don't know, I could be wrong with this, but it's a great idea. I think it's worth looking at, but let's see if we can do it. And I would suggest that if we get to a point, we put it on as a warrant article to see how the townspeople feel about this.
Yeah.
Funding this initiative.
Yeah, I would not want this to be
Right.
part of the rec budget or
Right.
the outdoor program budget. I think it needs to be a standalone
Mhm.
agenda or a warrant article. I do think that we need to have a conversation with the Resort Association as well. If the town's gonna go in for this amount of money, there's a certain piece of this that's marketing the entire valley.
Right.
And so, maybe there's a cost share.
Of course, but we have to see if there's a realistic
Situation. Well,
and
that's right. We got to answer
historical-
your questions.
add on to businesses that have done something like this, towns that have done this. Have they seen their traffic improve?
Well, I think that's part of the idea is that there aren't towns that have done this.
Yeah.
Like, this hasn't been done in other places. And so creating this whole, curated forest is just.
But is the forest curated is my question. Are we going to provide an excellent guest experience to that person going out there?
Well, I think what you're saying is our infrastructure ready for,
Yeah,
to invite this type of success?
Right.
No, I don't think it is. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's my
no, that's,
opinion, but that's also a separate issue than this. I mean, I think we need to work on our infrastructure, the bathrooms
Yeah.
being one of them,
Mhm.
some places where people can stop.
and you talk about the cellar holes. I know people that have had to bushwhack out to them and found something that they have to really imagine was a cellar hole. I think people, in my mind, if I want to go look for something, I want to see something.
There's also, I think, maybe, and I haven't talked about this with Tyler, but an opportunity to do a summer version and a winter version, things, that would probably be something
Yeah,
that
I
might come out, because people do hike a lot.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm just looking at the cost versus what we spend on the rec
And this
department.
is just
Yeah.
1 year.
Yeah, oh, no, I get it. And this talks about nothing as far as trail maintenance and trail, keep it, making it viable. This is just
And-
administrative.
And I think in addition to the Resort Association, we need to bring the Forest Service in.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of this will depend on their maintenance. It isn't gonna be something that we're gonna control.
Mhm.
Right, I mean, and Marvin has had conversations with Brooke Brown and, and I think we've gotten a good response initially, but I think definitely in the presentation to town meeting, if this is a warrant article, that we just have to have the answers to that sort of thing. Maybe a letter from them that says that they're in support of it.
Perhaps there's an opportunity to partner with like Squam Lakes Association
Yeah.
or someone else. I don't know if that could, offset the costs. at all.
Well, and I think it becomes whether this is part of the rec budget or whether it's part of the marketing budget. I mean, we have a budget item for marketing assistance from the town. We could put this under that if we can get the answers to the questions that Mike asked about what do we foresee for increase in visitors and.
I'm more
What's
concerned
that?
with the infrastructure. Do we have something
Right.
that's worth advertising
Right.
and spending this money to
Yeah.
bring people to?
I
I
love,
find it's kind of ironic. Well, first of all, if this succeeds, assuming that we provide the right experience, I think it's not difficult to imagine a number of revenue streams that could be coming back to the rec department, whether it be camps or guided tours or guided events or attendance at other programs. Really, it's kind of ironic that we're having this conversation as opposed to sitting before the business community here. This idea has the potential to really put Waterville Valley on the international map. I've spoken to the editor of one of the largest, Outdoors, one of the largest publications, who's very interested, and she believes this would be of interest to millions of people who read her magazine. So the people that I've spoken with believe that it's not if you do it will they come, but really, to Mike's point, is Waterville Valley, the town, but also the business community, willing, to embrace a vision of the future, which is more, which is exciting, but also will require more from everybody. There's so much that's rich already in Waterville Valley, but frankly, all the things you talked about, Mike, we need,
Yeah.
including painting town square.
No, Marvin, I've got you on that. The concern I have under any measure without spending this money and just going out and promoting it locally and regionally is, do we have the attraction that people are going to enjoy and report positively to that community back on?
Or do we take a couple of years and can the information so that it can be released when our community has a bit more infrastructure, maybe some more hotels on the way type thing? I mean,
It's not even just the hotels. I'm concerned about the amount and quality of existing trails that can be done by the person on an app, not with
I
that.
think we have the trails, I think we
Yeah.
have the trails.
Okay.
I think we don't have the infrastructure to accommodate the
Oh,
bathroom.
I know we don't have
all
that.
that stuff. I think our trails are in good shape. I think we have.
Okay, no, I was just asking that question because I don't go out on the trails.
Right, yes. I think the trails, that's our attraction, really.
How many badges have I got?
I haven't given up hope, Mike.
Well, I know I don't have Skyline yet.
No.
I was just going
Go
to.
ahead, Rich.
I have one general comment and a couple of specific questions. First, to Marvin's last point, I don't see how this goes forward without buy-in, financial buy-in from the business interests here in town. That would seem to be a necessary prerequisite for a project like this, for all the obvious reasons. I won't belabor them. Secondly, the budget that you presented here, it seems to be mostly startup, right? I don't know if there's some operating
There's
part to
only
it.
one time. There's
It's
only
one
two
time, so
things. There's only two things that are one time, the
Okay.
first and the
Right.
last.
The first and the last.
So
So
what is the
13.
time, what is the time frame for, in other words, I'm trying to get at the operational costs.
So that's, my understanding was asking for, like, if it started in November and through the end of 2022.
Okay, so that's the time frame for actually
Yeah.
setting
That's
up
why
and
it's 16
running
weeks.
and running this, and that's why you have the 60 weeks. It is notable that the biggest single cost is the personnel, the $30,000 for a rec department for
Now, is
the
that in the
76,000.
Yes. Because
Yeah,
this would be like a full-time,
Right.
as I understand it, Tyler, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, it would be a lot of data inputting and, trying to get it up.
I'm not
Which I
judging it,
I
I'm just
also-
noting
Right,
that
I
it's a
also
big
wonder
cost.
if this can be delayed while we gather some of that information before we go live and start paying. And I haven't talked to Tyler about that, but as I listen here, I just wonder what we can do before we get it launched, because we don't want to be paying those sort of fees just to like getting
Be
our,
working on
be
it.
working
Yeah,
on
right.
our information. which
Right,
would
and that's
help.
actually my next question. I mean, will we have to pay for any of the content?
Well, I think go ahead.
I don't mean inputting, I mean the actual content.
That's who we're hiring.
So
That's
that
what
would be
that
independent
person-
contractors.
Yeah,
Well, that for creating, but where does the content come from? What is it
it
licensed?
exists right now. It's not licensed.
It's not licensed, it's
It's
not.
like the
Yeah.
historical
It'd be like
society
ESPN.
information. It's,
Okay, but I mean, there is a book, the latest book. Have we secured the author's agreement that we could use all that information in that book without paying any fees
Royalties.
royalties? That's the sort of thing I'm thinking of.
Good question.
Um,
And we
that-
have had people tell us that they're not interested in participating in it.
Right.
Important people that we might
And
use as a resource.
I'm sure there's a lot out that's publicly available. Obviously, if we could purchase the rights to Steve Smith's book, that would go a long way to creating a lot of content
Well, it is our.
real quick.
It's
It is our book, but we have,
It's copyrighted under the town water
Okay.
Valley. So that, I think.
I
should
think
answer
we
that
own, I
question.
think we own all of that.
okay, that's what I was trying to understand. And lastly, if we're gonna be running, well, we won't be running, but what about internet security? What about the security aspect of this? Either
That's
the
all
app or
from-
what does that come under?
Outdoor active. right?
That'd be my understanding.
Outdoor Active is a company with, hundreds of employees. They're not known in the United States, but they are nearly as large as All Trails, and All Trails wishes, and I know this because I spoke to their CEO, that they had the exposure in Europe and the rest of the world that Outdoor Active is. Outdoor Active is actually the oldest and most technically, as I understand it, established. Some of the competitors I spoke with, and many others that I haven't mentioned, said that to even begin this project using their technical infrastructure, they'd want, $50,000 to $100,000 just to have a conversation. The fact that we've hit Outdoor Active at a time when they've just finished making the investment to enable this kind of third-party partnership, and that we could be one of the first through the door, it's a unique opportunity now that we have the attention of their senior management, by entering into this agreement with them, which they consider, and which I would consider, actually pretty modest, or really very, very modest, having hired a lot of computer programmers and done a lot of that in my past. I think that the best of both worlds might be to go back to Outdoor Active and say, yes, we're glad to sign up, and we want access to all the tools and systems. But meanwhile, we begin at our own pace to add content, do it.
I'm sorry, Marvin, what I'm asking is to do with actual security of the platform. Is that going to be from Outdoor, not from hackers, ransomware, that sort of thing?
That's all Outdoor Active, because we're basically going to be, they're going to create a whole private label, a white label version of their system. But we could start modestly and specifically not go out and do, specific PR and the rest of it, and just low key begin to have people have experience with it, learn, iterate, and then when we have enough content, enough experiences, and we're, maybe, for example, there are free shuttle services from town square to the parking lots, and other enabling activities, we could then begin incrementally to letting the world know about it. But I think we're at a unique window now where we have the attention of the senior executives at Outdoor Active, and it'd be nice to be first in, have their attention, have their really enthusiastic support while we find our way. If the going in fee was more like $50,000 or $100,000, which others had proposed and which I never brought back to the town, I would think there might be more cause for pause than what they are proposing, because they are hoping that we will be a model that will be emulated around the world.
So Marvin, I don't think we can do that commitment now.
You can't do that now.
I don't think we can commit any funds to this at this time. If you wanted to write the warrant for just the proposal, the initial part of this 11,000 as a first step towards a longer step, we could gladly put that in as the thing. We can't spend this kind of money.
Right.
Without the voters' approval.
Yeah.
Without the voters' approval. Yeah. And yet the other thing that I would say, I'm very excited about what you're telling us today. As a hiker, I think I would enjoy this immensely. I don't think it should be free. I pay $35 a year to belong to geocaching.com. I pay, whatever it is, the annual fee to do All Trails. I think perhaps when you're beginning to set this up, if you can get some people to be volunteers to test the system, they might get it for free for a year or for 2 years or something like that. But I would not make it totally free for participants, even if it's $10 or $15 for a whole year's worth of. I do that.
Or a membership.
Yeah, or a membership. Yeah. But it definitely needs to be a warrant article, Marvin, with this kind of money involved, for sure.
But I think too, as I mentioned earlier, I think in the interim, we should be getting some type of commitment.
Oh, yeah,
Resort
exactly.
Association or whatever
Right.
business wants to help us with this.
So the action plan for now is develop the warrant article,
If they
You
want to
guys-
do a warrant, they might want to wait a year because they might not have
Well, they
enough.
may, but
But I would have this is my suggestion. Before you come up with a warrant article, I would have your strategic alliances and partnerships stating that there'll be funds from these other sources to match the funds coming out from the town.
So we could do a presentation for the next WBRA meeting next month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would increase your chances of getting this through,
Mhm.
showing that this is, a partnership with some depth to it.
You mean a town meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
Mhm.
So,
exactly.
But have that
so
lined up
when we
before.
are, but what I'm getting back to is when we're putting together the first draft of the proposed budget, we will have this in here like a CIP or a separate warrant article for right now. We'll be working with the WVRA to secure other funding sources, just like we do any other major capital project, right? And then we'll have it as a discussion point, because I just want to include it. I don't want to plug it in after the fact,
Right,
after you've had the entire budget.
Right.
I'd rather see it in there initially, then you can evaluate the bottom line and say, yes, this is a good year to do it, or no, this isn't.
And,
Is that okay?
just to make you folks feel better, one of the things historically, I proposed when I was the town representative to the WVRA, that the town and the WVRA fund this wedding book that allowed the town to go out and go after weddings and set up the whole wedding plan to bring business into the valley. So this is not a first time the WVRA is going to be asked that. I also went to the town as far as getting a triathlon here, and WVRA and the town both got behind bringing that here. So if you make a good presentation to them and say that, I think it'll go a long way, and I think it'll go a long way to giving this project legs and some credibility.
Yeah.
It might not happen this year, but let's see what we can do.
And apropos of the suggestion about charging, one model we might look at is, charging $10.
Yeah.
Might be
Marvin, this is all premature to this. I think the idea is getting a census of the town, whether the town and the resort association wants to support this.
okay.
The minutia of charging and all the other stuff, we'll get to all that.
Absolutely.
Great.
This is.
I think that's a good
This is
step forward.
Yeah. Good step forward.
excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your
And
presentation.
thanks for your effort in putting the time together on it.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, we're going to go back to our agenda, the financial reports.
I'm okay with it.
Anybody have anything on
Oh,
financial
sorry.
report?
I'm good.
I had
Okay,
one minor thing, but
Yeah,
it's really niggly and it's minor. So just give me a second here.
okay.
Well, since you mentioned.
Well, since you mentioned it, I'm sure.
Streetlights.
Yeah.
I know we've got some issue with streetlights. Are the streetlight projects including the changing of the lights on the bridge and the changing of the lights over by Snowsburg?
No, they would be separate.
Okay, so those aren't included in
They
that.
are not.
Okay. The street lights, that's part of the NEC. New Hampshire
Street
Electric
lights is
Co-op.
part of the co-op
Okay.
and it's paid by the town. The lights on the bridge are not part of us. They're town square.
okay. I
Town
didn't
square,
see
not us.
minutes for October
that's-
13th.
I haven't had a chance to look at them yet.
Well, I haven't seen them.
No,
I think
so
they just came
we
out.
just sent them out.
Yeah, they sent
so-
out about two.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so.
I saw them, but I wasn't here. I thought they were very well done.
Yeah, so
So we'll review them the next time.
next meeting.
Next
yes.
meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would that be for Friday's meeting or is that,
No,
for
it's
next?
Just for
regular
the
meeting?
Next regular meeting.
Okay.
Okay, department head reports. I can't wait to hear about the speed board, traffic and vehicle.
Yeah.
Pat.
Well, it looks like I'm starting.
Yes,
Please
you
please
are.
to explain that second. reference.
Just ignore that.
The first one I got, the
Yeah,
second
so I
one,
have a better one, that I'll give you numbers instead. That one, you can't, I can make it slightly larger, but you
That's
still
okay.
can't. All that is trying to do is tell you that the little orange ones to the bottom left are those are the cars going at 31 to 35.
Yeah.
The yellow are cars going 26 to 30, and all the blue ones are how many cars are going 0 to 25.
Okay,
So like if you see in the beginning, on the
Mine's
left
in
side,
black and white.
33.
Yeah, so
right.
So really the big number
the,
is,
the big number here.
the shocking
is-
number, I think,
is
to me was how many
25
cars
or
came down
less,
that road.
Yeah.
And all these small.
Yeah.
numbers down
Yeah.
here in the light
Yeah.
gray.
This
To me,
was
that
in
was
a,
Almost
what-
1,400.
how
That
long
was-
a period of
That was
time?
a Friday to Friday.
Friday to Friday, 1
1,400.
week,
So you're talking
1,400,
And 1% of them.
200 a day.
200 a day.
Yeah.
average.
And what was your highest number recorded?
For like the
Highest
highest speed.
Yeah,
35. So they were out of,
okay.
out of the 14,
That was a
1,388, 1,203 were going 0 to
This is
25.
Noon Peak Road.
Yep.
Okay, I can understand 35 being.
So 185 out of that were going above the speed limit. From a law enforcement perspective, we're not stopping anybody going 26 to 30. We're just not. That's 4 to 5 miles over the speed limit. That's 171. So only 1% were going 31 to 35. So 14 out of the 1,400 went 31 to 35. So I do believe it's a perception thing. Do I think
Right.
25 is fast? Absolutely. But
Okay.
you can't change that.
Can I ask you another question on this? Do you think these numbers are skewed because of school pickup and drop off?
No, because it's after.
Oh, this is
It
after.
was above,
It's at the
okay.
garden. So we put it at the garden. So we're getting
up above.
only the cars come, and this is only getting the cars coming down. It's not getting up and down.
Right,
And I have another graph that you guys do not have. I was able to figure it out after. So 5 AM, 139 cars came down that hill in a week at 5 AM. So those 5 AM people going to work, 139. So the times for the most.
It's 20 cars a day.
Yeah.
Speeding were 19 at 5 AM, 19 at 8 AM, and the highest was 23 at noon. So I can see if you have the highest percentage going the fastest is at noon when everybody's seeing them. Okay, maybe I can see why they're saying, but the average amount of cars per day was 140 to, but then take into effect from 9 PM until 2 AM, not one car went by there. So this is solely between 2 AM and 8 PM,
Wow, good
that
job.
many cars.
Yeah,
So what will happen is that data tracker will collect this, I can put this on any road and it will collect the data for every single road.
do you have
So
a
I
rec,
think it's a perception,
yeah,
so I will leave it up to you if you think a speed limit sign needs to go at the top or not.
we don't have one up there right now?
not at the top.
There's
We
only
talked
one
about it
down
last
by the
meeting,
school.
but we figured we'd look at the data first, we can, I mean, but we have an extra sign, so I mean,
Yeah, it's 183 out of 1,400, so.
Yeah, no, I think that's great news. And I think the people that live up there know there's no through traffic.
right. So. And then all the signs went out on top of that, so you'll see there on the bottom of the speed limit sign,
Okay,
the no parking on the streets.
I heard a
What?
rumor there was a missing no parking on the streets sign, maybe on Snows Mountain Road.
We took down everything that was not in accordance with what we were going
Yeah,
with.
I don't know, someone just was through that at me in passing.
So
So
I-
we'll pass on a sign at the top, but replace the sign by the school? Is that the recommendation?
Yeah, the school sign is gonna be replaced, the one that looks bad, that's already gonna be replaced.
Right, we had talked about that
That's
earlier.
what. we-
So you guys had just mentioned putting a sign at the top of the hill, coming down.
Right,
Don't think we
I don't
need
see
it.
that.
Then you're not gonna get all the driveways that are below the sign.
Right,
Yeah, no, makes sense.
Right,
so.
Yeah. I don't see that.
I don't
It would
see
just
being
be if-
necessary.
it wouldn't seem to be necessary, except, for the one time, the one person you do stop going 15 over a 2-year period, and they say, sign, what sign? So,
And then we'll say, too bad.
yeah, no, I mean.
Actually, when you think about it, it would be tough to get up to 50 miles an hour in the short span you have from that parking lot to the top of the hill.
And the
Even more
fastest one
common.
was 35,
Yeah.
so. I
Well,
mean,
going
we'll use the
down,
trailer out there a
Sure,
bunch
a lot
more
of-
this year and we'll get numbers again. just to make sure.
all right,
let's make sure we
Very
get feedback to the citizen that raised the question as well.
Yes.
Okay,
we could do that for
all
sure.
right.
And
What
that's it.
else? What else from,
One more thing, 2 more things. I have a meeting tomorrow in reference to the it's not completely about hockey, but it has to do with hockey and what we've been dealing with up until this point. I have a Craig's tomorrow at noon with the lodges and Stacy down at Town Square. So we'll have a discussion. They want me to be there. Have a discussion on what's been going on the last couple of weekends.
Are the Hockey Academy representatives coming into that as well?
It's my understanding Dan will be there, yes. So we'll have a good discussion about that. And then the last thing is the parking. I created an ordinance today. Dave has reviewed it. So I will have that ready for November 10th meeting, which it'll combine all 4 of our parking ordinances into one. And it does give what we've talked about, me or a designee, the authority to allow people to park, and will also give you guys the authority as well, which we don't have right now.
And the process will be, if you're okay with the language and everything,
Right.
we will include it as
Right.
a warrant article. It's not a zoning amendment, it's its own warrant article
Right.
for vote at the.
And are we gonna have a
preliminary
public
session.
hearing on it?
We would
before?
have a public hearing
Okay.
prior to town meeting.
Now, would this include, I don't think we finished the discussion on actually opening up specific areas for on-street parking
Yeah, we'll give you the authority to do that.
It will,
without specifically.
without specifying which areas, it
Yep.
gives the board the ability to do that on a case-by-case basis.
Do we want to lead with a couple of places?
Well, that's.
For the
if
public
you
hearing? I
want
mean, that's what
to,
I'm asking.
You'll be, I wouldn't mention, well, because I wouldn't bring it up at the public hearing because it's not part of the ordinance.
Right,
Just the authority to do it.
right.
So I don't know, if I were you, I don't know if I'd lock yourself into spots.
Mhm.
But you could talk about them during the public hearing.
Oh, there was that one area I thought that we had general agreement on, the one by the bottom of Cascade Ridge and Boulder.
Oh,
Path.
new.
New, yeah, new. That's what I'm
Yeah, you
mentioning.
can bring that.
If we want to make it part of the process, not just bring it up in
Yeah.
discussion, but actually say, if this passes, here are 2 areas that we're thinking of, one area. Or do we want to still talk about those areas? Perhaps we should still,
I'd like to see the ordinance before. we
all right,
discuss.
why don't we
Yeah.
have, take a look at
On
the
the
ones and then
10th.
talk about
Yeah.
if we want to be more
We have
specific.
plenty of time for you to decide
Okay,
that.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Great.
Anything else from DPS? Yes, no?
I was on vacation last week, so.
Right.
Okay.
He's still wading through 600 emails.
Did you bring some
There you
slides?
go.
I'm just
I'll-
trying to catch up.
I'll
He
quiet.
does have cool video. though.
Right.
You need to look at it.
Will we get a report next regular selectmen meeting?
For,
Oh, just I think we had talked about getting a regular written report.
yes, we'll have
The next one, would that be okay?
in November, yeah.
We're gonna do that and also pull the data from the other standalone boards too. So you'll see it's been up for a full month, so you'll have a picture of the full month of the
Route
data from those,
49 coming in.
from those boards also.
Yeah. I noticed the sun really plays havoc with it at certain times of the day.
Hmm.
The way it doesn't have that shield on its
Well,
right.
I think the angle,
Yeah,
the
this
board that
time,
was
yeah.
mounted is kind of kicked back a little bit.
Yeah,
You know.
you see something's
At some point,
flashing,
I'd
but
like
you
to
can't
get that
quite see.
Straightened out, you know. Get it straightened out.
Yeah, but that's probably
You're
only
talking about
for,
the reflection, so you can't see what.
when you're driving into town, there's certain, it's probably only for a
Yeah.
very short period of
Yeah, it's
time.
very, yeah.
This
glitchy.
time of year, you can't see the numbers that are actually flashing.
I think the angle has a lot to do with it.
Okay. Makes sense.
Right, Brooke, want to talk about rec department and playground final installation?
Yeah.
Yep. So, we had a great Halloween costume contest on Saturday. We had a great turnout, good weather, so that was all good. The playground update is that it was decided that there was not sufficient chips that were included with the initial installation. We knew it, it was brought to our attention by some concerned citizens, so we ordered some more chips, had those delivered. And those were spread on Monday, and it's good to go now. We've looked at it and it's all good. The company has agreed to pay for the additional chips that we had to order. So everything's good at this point. People are enjoying the playground and I think it's being received well.
Have we paid them in full?
Yeah. Yeah. Would have been easier with a couple of things if we hadn't, but we had, so.
Okay.
And then the final thing is that we did put some pickleball, just because we took such a long hiatus from pickleball. I think a lot of people were really wanting it back, and so we finally put it back, and it's taken a couple weeks to build some momentum, and we're finally having like some good numbers, and I feel good that we're able to provide that at this point. So that's all I have.
Okay. Dylan. What's happening?
Just a report for you.
Good.
Yeah. We did get some parts in today to make the repairs at the plant. Now it's just coordinating with Penta when they can actually out here to do them. Other than that, Mark had attached a graph or 2 graphs, I believe, water and wastewater.
No, not yet. I
Oh,
didn't
you
put it in the packet because I wanted to be adjusted
Okay.
for rainfall.
Sorry, forget that.
Yep, we'll have it for you at the next meeting.
Basically, it just shows 20, it's an overlay, 3 years compared to each other, 19, 20, 21.
By month.
By month of flow, water and wastewater. And it's skewed a bit, I think, just because 2021, we have a full year until last month, I believe, of a water ban. And 21 still from, I believe, June or July mark is still right on the money with 19 and 20 for water usage.
Mhm.
Maybe we put the water ban, I think, in effect in September of last year. So definitely shows there's a lot of people living in town year round now, as opposed to just people coming in on the weekends. And our weekends have been crazy. Yeah, I mean, I'm not here on the weekends, but just seeing what we have for flow coming in both days and what we're putting out for water. We don't see that. You know, you look back even 5 years and you might have a weekend here and there, but the consistency every single weekend is high.
Yeah, we're also trying to figure out a way to analyze the midweek and the differences in the midweek usage. Because instead of the big peaks and valleys that we used to see, at least anecdotally, we feel that the use is more consistent across the week. So the total isn't showing that much higher. And in some cases, it's showing that it's a little bit lower. But the thing is, it's how much we're treating every day.
Right.
So the shutdown periods that are available are much less. And that's the biggest impact on the operation right now is the fact that we're running the plant overnight more. But we got to figure out a way to show that graphically. It's difficult when you have 30 days in each month to compare. It's just a lot of work trying to get that together, but we'll figure something out.
Have the data allowed you to get a real good sense of how many people who are living here who are not residents? Because we can count the residents, right?
Right.
But do you have a sense of people who actually moved up here but decided not to become residents?
No, we don't have that yet. That's what I'm hoping our
The data.
numbers. And the other
Right.
thing that we just talked about, this is water related, is we just had a meeting with our meter company. The software that we currently use is no longer supported. They have modified the software. So we're going to need to, as part of the CIP, purchase a new software package. However, we can use it with our existing meters. So we don't need to make any changes to the meters or the transmitters. We just need to upgrade the software. But there are transmitters now that will give us the opportunity to look on actually every 15 minutes on a meter, we will get a data point. And the software graphs that for us.
Is that every
And
meter or is that cumulative?
It can be every meter. So as we replace transmitters, because they will go bad
Mhm.
as they age, we can put in this new version of the transmitter and utilize our new software. And we're going to be able to analyze that usage on a daily, even an hourly basis. It's a very powerful program. So we're in the beginning stages of talking to the meter company, getting pricing from them for the CIP.
I'm
But
wondering-
this will really help us.
Yeah, I'm wondering too, if the sort of data that you could be collecting here will be very, maybe not important, but very useful in the design of the new
Absolutely,
facility.
absolutely.
So
Because-
maybe,
Well, one of the good things, we do have SCADA, so it does log.
right,
Every 10 minutes, it will show, it'll form trends
Right.
based on every 10 minutes, how the flow varies. So you will get some, the problem is you can't meter sewage. And you can't, there's no way to meter it, other than what comes through piping into the facility. It's not like we can put something on what people put down their drain. So you can monitor what they, bring into the house from treated water.
right,
So doesn't mean everything they use for water is going down the drain.
right.
Right, but the nice thing about the water meters, so
Right.
the SCADA system gives us the overall system.
Right.
And we can see the big trends across the whole town. Hour by hour, we
Right.
can tell you that. But if we can put this new water meter software in place and start gathering the data, even if it's from just our commercial
Mhm.
accounts, the big users, we'll be able to, on an hourly basis over a weekend or during a holiday week or whatever, we're gonna be able to see when the use is happening and that sort of thing, and where in town it's happening.
Hmm.
So that, I think, is something we've never had the capability
Yeah.
of
I
building.
don't think it's that tremendously important in a place like this. It's not like we have to change staffing patterns because of it.
No,
No.
what it will do is it will eliminate leaks.
Oh, no, I get it that way. And that was the part of the first meter thing where we found
Right.
tons of leaks in town.
Yeah,
But you would be able to find a problem as it happens.
Well, so we were talking about this in the meeting, something like the size of a golden eagle, where you have over 7 units.
Yeah.
There's cost of flow going through that meter.
Right.
No matter what. So you
No.
might not ever detect a leak there. And they've had problems in the past. I had just had to speak with a plumber that they had a piece of equipment blow out of the wall.
Yeah.
and cause-
No, I get it. It's, we don't need to, but it's great as a stopgap in there to see, someone might not be home and then all of a sudden you're seeing
right.
just an enormous amount of, a large amount of water going consistently for
Well,
20,
that's Leb's house, right? That's what happened to them. It filled up the house.
or the old Sullivan
And
house.
the old Sullivan house.
And the other thing is that it's a negligible cost difference between a regular transponder.
No, I get it, but I'm not thinking that we're gonna have someone monitoring the board every night to see who's flushing
Well,
or taking a shower.
as well, that it offers a dashboard to the
Yeah.
user,
Oh, yeah.
not just us, so that way they can look at their water bill and see.
And what,
The commercial accounts.
yeah, I think also in the future would be able to, when we go to reestablish rates, to set up tiers based on
Well,
information as opposed to
that's
hunches.
where,
Mhm.
and the expansion to
Yeah.
the hotels, more
Yeah.
coming and involved
Okay,
potential.
Okay. Jim,
Not much new to tell you, except that we did I know you're all aware of it, but the old truck is gone. And we got a very nice offer from New Car, and you approved to let it go for 14,000, which was great. So that truck is now theirs, and the new truck is we're trying to get pieces and parts to finish the outfitting of it, so. Supply chain issues.
Does that hold true for the paving on Lost Pass?
Yes,
now it's winter.
Now it's weather. I mean, we're not paving that until,
We better be paving it within the next week.
or it doesn't get paved.
Can't pave once it snows.
Yeah, no, that's,
It stays.
I'm just finishing your
Yeah. No,
implicit,
it's
your
ugly.
thought,
It's ugly.
your implied thought, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, department heads. Let's move on to calendar review. You have a special meeting for refinancing one of our bonds. Which bond is it?
The USDA, the big one, the.
The
water-
$5 million?
No,
No,
it was
the 1 million.
1.9 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and that is this Friday. Our next regular meeting is November 10th. And our next planning board meeting is November 11th.
Correct.
It's 10 o'clock Friday, yes? Still 10 o'clock
10
Friday,
o'clock,
okay.
Appointment to library trustee board. Maureen Fish has been recommended.
No. I'm sorry.
Maureen Fish has been recommended.
Yes.
Do we need a motion on that? Mark?
Yes, please.
Okay, I would like to move that Maureen Fish be added to the library trustee board and that we accept with regret Sandy Larson's resignation from that board.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and then filling a Conservation Commission vacancy. I would like to nominate Rebecca Hastings to the Conservation Commission. Can I have a second?
I will second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. The sign permit
Mhm.
application. So I think I understand from what I read, Mark, is that as long as the sign meets the size parameters.
Well, there are a few criteria: sign, the material it's made out of,
Right.
the type of lettering, the
Size.
professionally lettered, that sort of thing.
But we have no control over the content.
We have no control over the content. We used to, but because of a recent court case, we had to change that a few years ago.
Okay,
The problem that I see, that I've communicated to Wendy and to Tara, and I talked to Rich about it as well, is when you look at it, there's no time. So you could, if someone could bring in a request for a permanent sign, okay, and if they build it to those standards, they could have a permanent sign for a month and then take it out and replace it with something else. So if we say that a permanent sign has to be in for at least X amount of time, whatever it is.
It forces them to go
and
temporary.
Then
Right.
they have to go to temporary, and I think because the temporary is more restrictive in size and things like that. So I think that there's a relatively simple fix here, as long as it's not messing up anything else.
No, I think it's the planning board's purvey. The sign as it stands meets, I reread the guidelines. I was amazed at the guidelines because I should have read them.
How much we seeded? No,
Yeah.
I mean, 2 years ago when we wrote them.
Yeah. I thought there was a different outcome of that, but I've been wrong many times before. But no, I have no problem with that sign as it stands, and I think the planning board has to go back and revisit the.
Yeah, but certainly I'll have a
definition.
discussion
Yeah.
and bring it up, but.
Right, in talking to Wendy
Right.
about it, there was definitely an intent by the board when they adopted
Right.
the language,
Right.
but it didn't do what they wanted it to.
The
do.
usual,
So
I mean,
think,
just backfilling
exactly.
areas that we
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
quite get to. This will require a warrant article
it
now
will,
Just
it'll be a
to-
zoning amendment,
to
Yeah.
to specify what we mean by permanent.
exactly.
So, and we'll
So are
discuss
we-
with the planning board, what, do you folks have a sense of what you would like for permanent, so I can bring that to the
I
board?
don't know. I would say 6 months, a minimum.
Something like 6 months.
Yeah.
Margaret, do you
Yeah.
have a sense?
No,
I can
I
bring it to the
really
board?
don't,
Yeah.
but what do we do about the one that is in front of us?
It's fine.
Well,
Can't do
It fits.
It fits all of the
Okay.
criteria,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
You want-
So do we need a motion to approve the sign?
No,
I just
I
have to
think
sign
we're all
it.
set. As long as you didn't have a problem with the approval that I had
Okay.
written, we're okay. But if you notice on that, I also said
Yeah, it has
that
to
when
be.
they replace it with the real permanent sign, it's gotta come back to you.
Mhm. Okay. Discussion of the status of the $5 million bond issue application.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are seeing what's going on in the news, and the Fed is supposed to come up with an announcement. I believe it's next Wednesday, a week from today,
Yeah,
when they're going to make a decision on a rate change. Everyone's expecting some sort of increase. But when we had the conversation at the last municipal bond bank meeting of the board of directors, the staff is recommending that we always provide projected interest rates to municipalities. And right now, we're projecting somewhere between 2.5, maybe 2.75 for rates, which compares, like I wrote in here, to the 1.53 that we got in the last bond sale that we participated in as a town. So these are significant increases. We are constrained because we have to use 80% of the money within the 3-year period. That means it doesn't have to be spent, but it has to be at least under contract.
Within the
Within
3
that.
years of when we take the bond out.
From the time we
Right.
take the bond, we have to utilize 80%.
define, utilize.
It has to be either spent or under contract.
Okay. So if we take the bond out, we pay interest on it the day we take the bond out, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
Have we, now, just so I understand correctly and the audience, we have the authorization, but we've yet to move on.
that's correct. We have not.
Taken any
we have
money
not taken
as
any
we've
money
been
against
delayed
that authorization. That's correct.
because of
The EPA.
EPA.
And now we do have a scope and fee proposal from the engineer. And we're
Right.
trying to work so that we have a draft contract for you guys to look at the November 10th meeting. Okay, where we can at least get started on the PES. We're timeline wise, we're getting too compressed.
Mhm.
So we're trying to get that contract in front of you.
And it's,
But we just got that today.
okay, and that would be part of this.
And that would be part of
As
the money
planned.
that we spent.
Right.
And so our decision, I wrote that
Mhm.
sheet that highlighted for you
The
the
breakdown.
breakdown
Mhm.
of what we were expecting to spend. We don't have to take the whole 5 million. However, if we took a portion of it, because we know we're gonna do the PES. We
What is the
know that.
PES gonna cost?
Preliminary.
Oh, no, I know
about
that.
it, I think we put $500,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we still haven't spent any of the first million, correct? That what did we authorize at town meeting?
5 million.
5 million.
Yeah, we haven't.
And we haven't,
The
Yeah,
1 million was for the.
that's what
water
I'm talking
line.
about.
Okay.
We
But that's
authorized 1
separate.
million.
Yeah, but no, but that's separate from what we're talking about right now with the 5 million.
No, I'm just trying to put it in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that breakdown, I mean,
Now, another question. Did we take the 1 million?
yes, we took.
So
the
we're
one-
paying
we
interest on
bonded.
1 million right now.
Yes, we are.
yes.
And have we spent any of the 1 million?
A very small amount on some engineering.
Again,
Okay.
delayed because
Again,
of.
delayed.
Oh, no,
Put it out
I
to bid.
get
Yeah,
delayed
Put it
because of
out
all
to
this.
bid.
So I just want to be clear
Mhm.
before I
Yeah.
make my point in
Yeah.
a couple of minutes.
So it really turns on, I mean, if I can anticipate, it turns on how confident do we feel that over the next 3 years, we're actually going to be spending money that we're borrowing because we'll be paying interest on that money.
Right. The other points I would make to this
Mhm.
is I don't believe the Fed is going to raise to the extent that a lot of people are talking about, because our economy is going to collapse if the Fed raises and they cut back this pump of liquidity. We are so overextended right now. No one has got a plan to get out of this. My opinion. I haven't read any it's late in the day. Any one of those money guys with a plan to come out of this.
Yeah.
The second concern I have is I have a feeling because of this bill that's being held up for all kinds of crazy reasons, there might be a significant amount of free or forgivable money in it.
Talk about the second bill that it's not been approved.
Yeah, whatever they're doing in Washington besides.
Well, they approved the one, but
Right.
it's being held hostage to.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I think there's money there. I think we need to be ready to go if we see a trend in going up. I think the first jump is not going to be a point. You know, a point would cause panic.
Oh, no, yeah. no.
So it might be, you know, an eighth or something. But the other side of it is, are we going to spend it in the 3 years? Is it worth getting now and paying interest on it? Because I don't think the trade-off is going to be there for it, because we might not get to spend it in this time, or we're spending interest on something we haven't used yet. So it would offset the higher cost of borrowing a little bit later. And the availability of money that I perceive coming up.
Where's that?
I think
crossover from?
these trillions of dollars they're talking about is designed specifically for towns like us and places like this that are between a rock and a hard place and having to build a plant we can't afford.
It does make me wonder though about the availability of the money because it's not a shovel-ready project.
Because it's not a what?
It's not a
It's not
shovel-ready project.
No.
As it was back when Obama was in office and they had that federal money. This is not, we don't have any plans to build this.
Yeah, no, I don't know that part of it,
Right.
but I just know we haven't been even given a guideline of what we have to build.
Well, that's the problem. We haven't-
Yeah, no, it's not. Nothing we've done is our fault.
All right.
That's what sucks about it.
Right.
Yeah, it's trying to predict the future.
Right.
Exactly. And it does, the hard thing about this, in my opinion anyways, is we have to spend money in order to figure out what we're even gonna do.
Right.
So that's where we have to figure out.
And is that million we've got enough for now?
Well, it's
No,
not-
but
that's
the
not-
million isn't involved in
Right.
this.
That's for the water, right?
That's for the
And we
water
cannot touch
system.
that.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so
For
we
the-
could borrow a million and we know we're gonna use a million during.
see, I could see
22.
$1 million. I couldn't see 5.
No, I'm not asking for the entire
No,
thing. As I
he's not.
said,
Yeah.
let's pick pieces of these that we think we're gonna do. So the preliminary engineering study, we're definitely gonna spend that in 22. I
See, I
think we
just-
ought to, I think we ought to have some amount of the land purchase groundwater discharge.
But where's the
investigation.
landmark? Do we have an identified piece of land that we are talking about with someone where we can even come up with a rough idea of the value of it?
I'd like to talk to you about that later in the meeting.
Okay,
Let me
Yeah,
also mention something. These are, in a sense, for this discussion, artificial distinctions. Just because we want to borrow the money for preliminary engineering study, doesn't mean it has to
right.
go.
That's
to
right.
that.
Yes,
That's
it's within
correct.
the 5
It's-
million
It's what we are expecting
authorization.
to spend.
So really, the total amount of
Yeah.
what we expect to spend is the key number here.
That's right.
That would have been a much better way to phrase it as opposed to.
Well, I'm just,
But you're breaking it
but
down
I'm
as to
just
what that could
breaking
be.
it down.
Yeah, I get that.
But I can, a million, million and a half, just a number to have money available so that we can get the PES going and we can start paying those bills. That we can, if land is available for us to purchase and you decide that it is something we want to do, we have money available to be able to do that. Because our other option would be to do it all through bond anticipation notes, which we would get a short-term loan
Higher.
at probably a little bit of a higher rate.
Right.
And then that would be our bridge loan to doing the bonding. Because we get 2 windows a year if we use the bond bank that has had the best interest rates and the best terms. We get January and August. So those are the times when when we're actually able to bond. So
So what are you thinking? $1.5 million in January?
I am very sure that we would spend 80% of that.
In 3 years.
Well within 3 years.
Yeah, no, I have no
yes.
problem with that.
Yeah.
Will we have a better feel for the total amount, say by January? When do we have to come up with a number?
We have to come up with a number now
Now, in
because we
order
have
to
to do an
Application
application
in time to
do
meet
it
the,
in January.
in January.
I mean,
What is a
million and a half is the
What
number.
does a
If we
million and a
have to
half
do
cost?
another application next year, we can do
A
one for
million and a half.
August.
What does that cost a year?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Well, what are we paying on the million?
About all in with interest, I think around 60.
Okay, so it's gonna
60 or
cost 100.
70. Yeah, probably 100.
Okay,
I mean, and the other thing that we're doing by doing this is starting to spread out the borrowing too, so that there's not such a big lump sum at the end
Mhm.
in 23 or 24. I know it's gonna be 15, $20 million. Yeah, that's a lot. But at least we're starting to spread the payments out a little bit.
So you need us to,
If
Do-
you're okay with it, I'll start the application.
do you need a
process
motion
for it.
from us?
Yeah.
Yeah,
if-
okay.
if you want.
I would move to have Mark start the application process for 1.5 million of bonds out of the 5 million approved at town meeting in 2021.
I will second that motion.
All those in favor? Aye,
Aye.
aye.
okay. We must have skipped over the town domain name the last time.
Yes, we did.
Any-
It
any
was an
problem?
agenda item last
I-
time.
I mean-
Putting all your eggs in one basket, it seems to me, but what do I know?
Well,
Just attack.gov.
Is it really more protected under the gov?
that is my understanding. That's what we're being told by.
What do we know,
Is it
right?
really protected at all?
Yeah, well, that's, yeah.
It's the general consensus from the state and the feds.
And we have terrorism and internet insurance, correct?
We have,
Those-
yes, we
those-
have.
So if someone hijacks us and wants money back, we have an insurance.
For
carrier.
ransomware,
Say
you mean?
that.
Yeah.
For ransomware, yes.
I
We have we, I'm just asking this because Spear got a real surprise when they went to renew their insurance for that. Because the insurance company was insisting that anybody that was getting onto the website had to go through several factor identification
Mhm.
before they could get in and that type of thing. Are we faced with that as well?
No, not right now. Our,
Okay,
as far as getting onto the town website or any
Right.
of that, no,
okay,
we don't. It's pretty much open.
Because we don't have a portal.
We don't
like
have a
Sphere.
portal.
okay.
Yeah. This is the domain, I mean, what we're being told is just making that change from .org to
Right.
.gov.
I mean, it's
It's
just our
going to
public,
provide
it's our
us-
public site. We're not talking about the internal
Exactly,
IT infrastructure we use for
right.
bill paying and,
Yeah, it's just our
Communicating.
identifier.
right, okay.
But supposedly, at least what the state has told us is it is more secure and they're recommending that we make the change. And they've come up with a system to help us make the change.
Okay. Do we need a motion on that? too?
Is there a cost associated?
Nothing.
They said
where
it's free.
They told
It
us
used
it's
to
free to
cost,
help
but
us.
New stationery,
To help us.
Yep.
Yeah, but not many,
new business cards.
no one uses a business card anymore.
There you go.
I do.
I'm sorry, so you
Okay.
needed a motion? I'm sorry.
So
I interrupted you.
can I have a motion on this subject? Because I'm tired of making motions.
I will
today.
move that the town pursue changing the town domain name for its public site from a .org to a .gov.
I have a second.
I will second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, old business, well number 3 and river crossing project update.
Nothing,
Nothing new?
nothing new.
Okay.
No new hydrant going in anytime soon?
We do have a contract.
Oh, go
that's
ahead.
Interested.
Right.
But Oil Tanner has been using.
What do we have to give him first, be a first one or something?
Pretty much.
Probably. I don't recall a timeline on when.
There's none been set yet.
Yeah.
Well, we do have the parts on order
You do have the part.
and as soon
Is
as
this the
they-
part to do the hydrant to hydrant? or
Hydrant to
emergency?
hydrant line, yes. And we will have the bid package out by the end of next week for the rebid of the rest of the work,
The whole water thing.
right? The whole water
Mhm.
line,
Mhm.
the 1 million.
Yeah,
Um,
let me go back to a question that came up here.
Yeah,
The million we borrowed on that,
Mhm.
do we have to use 80% of that within 3 years as well?
yes.
So, and are we a year down on that already?
We are, yeah, it'll be a year. in
But it can be
January.
contracted, doesn't have to be.
That's right.
spent.
It just
Okay.
has to be under contract.
Now, this emergency system we're trying to get in as soon as possible, is that time dependent? Can they do it any time of the year?
Basically, as long, I mean, you don't want to do it in January or February.
Right, but if they had to, they could.
Yes, you can do it most any time, but you're gonna obviously be hit with winter conditions.
Well, yeah, thawing the ground before they dig it up.
Right,
But they
so-
can dig it up.
Be more expensive
Yes.
presumably, but we
Yeah,
could still,
But we can,
once we get somebody willing to do it,
yes,
because we need to do it.
yes.
Okay,
So that, I'm sorry, Margaret, but that'll be out to bid. And so we will have the bids back for you to vote on in the first meeting in December. Is our goal.
Any insights?
They have a couple of contractors who are not involved in projects right now and don't have anything on their calendars.
And can we
So-
ask why?
Well, that's, we will definitely have to check why, but.
It's the guy with the pickup truck, right?
Yeah, right.
And a jackhammer.
So, but.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully we can get on their schedule. This is work that'll be done next spring.
Right, I understand that.
Right.
I get that, yeah.
okay.
And nothing on EPA,
And,
Zippo.
and in fact, the name, I have reached out to Shaheen's office. Did I tell you that the person who helped us with the EPA
Mhm.
before is gone from Shaheen's office? So.
These
I
are all
am-
bad omens.
Well, I am trying to get another name so we can get them to contact the EPA again, but their office has not helped us yet again with the EPA. So they have not identified anyone to me.
Sacrifice.
Well,
Anything else on the wastewater treatment plant project update? No? Okay. Board concerns and directives.
I just have one. I sent you guys just a little while ago a picture. Ray thanked us for, I don't know if you sent the email to others. I think he may have been on the email.
okay,
Mark, thanking the Department of Public Works for putting down the fill
oh, yeah.
at the bottom of that sloping stairway. He's now asking if we can extend that fill further along. He sent a picture. I don't think you're on the picture, but he sent it to me where there's a puddle of water further down. And so I think just a matter of looking at it and see whether it makes sense to do, and then to decide whether or not to do it. But he raised it.
There should be a watermark after the last couple of days, so I'll have the boys take a look at it, or I'll go over and take a look at
Great.
it. And I'll have some more material put in there. It's not a problem.
It'll be something we have to do ongoing because anything we put in there is
Gonna be washed
Gonna
away
get washed away.
or
the cat's
skied
gonna take
away
it
or moved away
I mean, it's just a high trap.
area.
Okay, anything on correspondence? I don't think so.
No, I don't have any
Okay.
correspondence.
Do we need a non-public?
Yeah, I
We
got
do
a
need a
couple of
non-public.
things.
Okay, well, it is 4:25, 4:22, and we're gonna go into
Dave.
Thanks, guys.
non-public. Thank you, everyone.
Can I ask you something in non-public?
Sure. That's part of what.